In this tutorial, we're going to cover the Bosch alarm panel integration with ACM. But before we get started, let's take a look in some important notes. You should have a Bosch alarm panel integration license already installed in ACM. To verify that, very simple, just go to the appliance session and then go to the About tab, and you should be able to locate your Bosch alarm panel in that section. Also, it's important to mention that currently ACM support up to 10 Bosch alarm panel connections. So let's go ahead and take a look in the prerequisites. To create integration with the Bosch alarm panel, you need at least version 5.8 of ACM. The current version is 5.8.2. Is available in the Avigilon website at avigilon.com. And go to the support section and you'll be able to locate that, then downloads and download the latest update and run that in your system. Also, you're going to need to download and install, if you don't already have, the Bosch RPS software. It's free. You can download that from the Bosch website. You might require the USB dongle key. Is this USB connector that you see over here that enables you to create configuration for commercial panels, for Bosch commercial panels. If you're using a mid-range panel anywhere between the B3512 to the B5512, which is the one that we're going to use for this demonstration today, you do not require this dongle key. Again, just for the commercial application. Okay, so let's go ahead and get out of this screen, and I'm going to open up my RPS software. And with that, we're going to look into some of the configuration into the Bosch panel. I already have my RPS software installed and configured. Already connected to my Bosch alarm panel. For more information on that, please go to Bosch website and download the manual instructions on how to install the RPS software and how to connect to a Bosch alarm panel and create a configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and just right-click my panel here and go to Open Panel View. That will give me this screen, which allow me now to go and connect to the panel. So right now I'm not connected yet. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button here to connect to the panel, or you can go to under Operations and click Connect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. That's going to give me this screen, which I already saved the password and the port number to connect to my panel. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit that connect button. Again, the idea behind here is that I'm not going to teach you in this video how to connect or how to create a configuration in the Bosch alarm panel. It's just how do you connect the already configured Bosch alarm into or with ACM. Okay, let's go ahead and click that connect. So what we're trying to do is look for some of the important information that we need to establish that connection. It's actually quite simple. We just need to look to 2 or 3 pieces of information here in this panel, and then we'll go take a look at it. All right, so we're now connected to the panel. First thing you need to know is the IP address of that panel and the port number. So you're going to go here under Panel Wide Parameters, open that up, and then go here Onboard Ethernet Communicator. So when you go in there, here is the IP address for my panel, and you're looking for also the TCP UDP port number. So you want to write those down. So you need that to establish the connection between ACM and the Bosch alarm panel. So that's the first part. The other thing you need to know is come down here on the 3 on this side and look for Automation and Remote Application. Click on that, and a couple of things we need to look in here. First of all, the panel has to be set, the automation device, to mode 2. To do that, just double click that line and it will give you all the options. By default, it comes with none, so make sure that you switch that to mode 2. If you don't do that, plain simple, you're not going to be able to connect, because that's how we communicate with the Bosch alarm panel. So make sure you have that into set as mode 2. And then under the automation passcode, you need to have a password in there. Just for this demo purposes, for this video purposes, I just enter that 1 through 6. Put a more robust password. This is the password that you're going to utilize in ACM to connect to the Bosch alarm panel. Okay, so next step now, let's go ahead and log in into ACM and start our configuration for the Bosch alarm panel integration. Here's my ACM software. This is the one that I have already configured with the license to work with the Bosch panel. So I'm gonna go ahead and just log it into this panel. And now that I'm logged into the appliance, if you want to validate, it's always a good idea to go and validate if the license is there. So it's quite simple. You just go over here, go into the setup and settings, and notice that I'm already using the new ACM GUI. So we just gotta go here under the appliance. This is version 5.8.2, and then go over here into About. And then under the About, you'll be able to see, here it is the version number that I'm running, and somewhere in here you'll be able to see how many panels you can connect, right? So right now, as I said before, you can connect to a maximum of 10 panels. So my license is already there, it's ready to go. So next step, you wanna go to, once again, to Setup and Settings, go to External Systems, and you will see a new tab called Bosch Intrusion. Okay, click on that. I already have a panel here that I was working with prior to this video. I'm gonna go ahead and add a new panel. So if I want to remove or add panels, or connection to the Bosch alarm panels, you just click on those two, right? So here I'm adding and here I'm deleting panels. If you want to delete it, you have to highlight it first and then hit the minus sign. It's going to ask you for a confirmation to delete that panel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit plus sign. It's going to create a new connection. Go ahead and enter the name you want to use. I'm just going to enter the name of my panel. I already had that before, so I'm just going to go and pick that. So this is the panel I'm using here for this demo, and then the IP address. The port by default is 7700. I have mine set as 7750, and then just enter the password. So if you remember in RPS, my password was 123456. Check the install and click in create. So that's going to create a new panel. You see them right there. Once this panel established connection, once the ACM established connection with the panel, you will see this going into a green state. So it does take a little bit. I noticed that depending on what type of alarm panel from Bosch you're connecting here, it could be fast or not. The 8512 is definitely much faster, I guess because of the CPU they're utilizing on that panel. Is a commercial panel, so it is much faster connection than I would see here in the 5512. This could take up to a minute or so to connect, and when it does, you'll see here a green LED. So what ACM is doing right now behind the scenes is talking to the Bosch panel and pulling all the information. So all the areas, all the input points, all the output points, and all the users. And so here it is. We already have that. And in a second, this alert will disappear once the connection is fully established. So if I hit the plus sign right now, it's going to give me my area. So here is the areas, inputs and outputs and users. If I click in the area, for example, it's going to go and refresh. So see, it's not done yet. That's why we have that box in there, or that alert is that we're not done yet pulling information from the panel. We'll give it a second and it's going to update, and then you'll be able to see that information in here. So all the areas, all the input points, and all the users, all that comes in from the Bosch alarm panel. So now that the panel has established connection, you can see the green LED, no more alerts. So if I click in the area, this is actually going to show me the areas that I have in my panel. In this particular panel, I only add 2 areas just for testing purposes. So, but whatever you have in the panel, this is what is going to show in here. Same goes for inputs, outputs, and users. Okay. So one last thing I want to show you here before we end is this part. So now you can go under monitor. The same way you used to do with the doors, with the hardware status, you also can do something similar now with the intrusion status. So you can go ahead and click that, intrusion status, and what this does, it brings information from the panels. Once again, this version that I'm running here, the 5512, it does take a little bit longer to refresh this and show you the status. So this should be showing now all greens, so it's gonna come up in just a second. And here's the other tabs that we have here. So we have areas, input points, and output points. So we can control those, and we can control the areas also. This is the screen that we're going to utilize to arm and disarm panels if you want to do that manually from ACM. So you can go ahead and do that the same way we do, you know, open and close doors. You can do the same thing here in the intrusion now, intrusion status. So as you can see now, everything is green, great. So now I'm connected to that panel. As I said before, the mid-range panels do take a little bit longer to connect. I guess because of the CPU that we're running, those units, they're not that strong, so it does take a little bit. So here's a couple of things that you can do, right? So if you have multiple panels with multiple areas, obviously this list is going to be much longer. So a couple of things you can do here. I can go and filter those areas by different types of which ones are armed, which ones are disarmed or partially armed, not armed, in alert, in trouble, and all that, right? So if you leave here in blank, basically brings you everything. This is the colors of the icons, the options that you can have. If it's armed, it's going to be in blue. Ready to be armed is in green, and trouble or in alarm situation here is trouble is yellow, and then alarm is in red. So now, as you can see, this is looking great. So I have my panel has the two areas in the green. So if I want to arm an area, let's say everybody left the warehouse, I'm going to go ahead and arm that. I can arm it directly from here. I can just highlight that or just check that area. I can do a master arm instant or delay in arm. So I can go ahead and click on that. What's going to happen now is you're going to see this turning into a blue. That means that area is now armed. I can silence alarm by clicking that, so highlighting the area that's in alarm, so you'll see the area in red, indicating that is in alarm condition. I can go and silence that or just go in disarm. Again, highlight the areas that you're looking for and just hit that disarm. Perimeter is to arm a perimeter instance. So if you have a system set or zones or areas set in as a perimeter, you can go and just arm the perimeter, keeping the inside areas or of the facility in non-armed condition, in ready condition. So as you can see now, I have one area that's armed. If anyone opens any door now related to that area, it would generate an alarm and this would go into red. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just disarm that just to show you. So just again, highlight the area, hit that disarm button, and in a couple of seconds you'll be able to see that in disarm mode. Okay, and you can see the command up here that says successfully sent. So that is verification that we send the command to the alarm panel to go and disarm that area. The refreshing here does take a little bit, but what I notice is the panel receives that command almost immediately once you send it. It's just the confirmation from the alarm panel back to ACM that does take a little bit longer, and you know, and this could take up to a minute to refresh and give you the status. And here it is. So now my zone is disarmed in ready condition. Okay, this concludes this video for the connection between ACM and the Bosch alarm panel.